The Virtual Grip Network and the Bootleg Racing League welcome you to Grand National Series action presented by Gargamel's Kitchen as we get ready to go racing at Martinsville Speedway. Justin Prince alongside my partner for tonight and Marty Sakawa with our producer Daniel Handover. It's going to be an intriguing night to say the very least to start things off, as it is the final race of 2021 for the Moonshine Challenge. But many of these drivers are looking for victory in what has been the most competitive season in series history.
Absolutely it has, Justin. We've got a good one set for you tonight, and I think this is a race that is big on championship implications. I know we've only had two different repeat winners on the season, but when you look at the standings, it's only 6 points separated by J.R. Shepard and Matthew Thunhurst, who each have the 2 wins on the season. So what we could be looking at Martinsville this weekend, which could be the most impatient track on the calendar this season, if Shepard outscores Thunhurst, he should be comfortable in the final 2 races at the Bullring of Las Vegas and New Smyrna. But if Thunhurst outscores Shepard, oh boy, we are in for a treat these next 2 weeks, JP.
Let's take a look at those points in fully, shall we? Because it has been tight amongst those top spots. You mentioned it there when it came to the 6-point differential between Shepherd and Thunhorst entering tonight's action. It's also worth noting amongst those championship battles, though, that you also have drivers like Justin Morton within a solid distance, within about 15 points of the top championship drivers entering tonight. You have Kenny Kibbe, who is also close behind, 19 points back. James Lowe, currently a far distance back, 70 points behind. It's a 4-driver race for what started essentially as up to 6 drivers as favorites for the championship, and it should be no surprise that we've had 6 different winners, the most winners in series history for a single season. There's those points in full. Several battles also potentially could form up, including the battle for 6 with Austin Belke holding up Joseph Tagawa and Ryan Seneker. Very intriguing the way the season's played out, Marty.
Yeah, Justin, you and I talked about this pre-race and bringing me up to date on the Bootleg Racing League Grand National Series, and there hasn't been a much different winter season or more parity-like season compared to this year. 6 different winners. I don't think any of us expected that. In previous seasons, we've had like about 3 or 4. And Morton and Kibbe still in this championship hunt. If something happens with both Shepherd and Thunhorst early in the going at any point in the race, look for the 3rd and 4th place drivers in points to take advantage of it big time.
Now let's talk about the racetrack these competitors are at tonight. It is the Paperclip. They have been practicing when it comes to these cars for 20 plus minutes nearly to make sure they're up to speed when it comes to tonight. The ties are in the 19.8s down to the 20.2s. The temperatures are fairly cool tonight, under the light 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 71 degrees the track temperature with partly cloudy skies on iRacing Day, May 15, 2021. But when it comes to this track, it's a whole different type of beast compared to some of the other ones on the schedule. This is a track where, in some races, there have been very long green flag runs. In others in series history, there have been plenty of cautions.
Oh, absolutely. And this track usually can be full of either one single groove based off the long run, or we could see multiple grooves, which leads to that more aggressive racing and possibly wrecks. This weekend, without question, has the tightest turns of this season at Martinsville Speedway. I think this could be the time of the year where, in the words of Adam Alexander a couple years ago, everyone's starting to take the patient pants off late on in the season. And keep in mind as well, with these ARCA machines, the front bumpers are not the best in iRacing. So if someone bumps somebody in front of them, it could lead to a big spin.
Worth noting when it comes to practice times as well, Matthew Thunhorst, the quickest driver in the session in terms of hot laps. Ran total of 31 laps completed, a 19.894 in practice. J.R. Shepherd, Justin Morton, Brian Dean, Todd Liston, the top 5 in session. However, remember, it is, when it comes to the starting positions, following the last week's running order, where it's a top 8 invert for the 100-lap race, no tire changes, one faster pair available if necessary. These drivers have now wrapped up their respective session to make sure they are all set to take the green flag. It's just about time to take a look at your starting grid already for tonight's action from Martinsville Speedway, as we try and see which driver wins at the Paperclip. With the invert tonight, it's Donnie Moore who will lead them to the green flag, with Kenny Kibbe in second, followed by Justin Morton and Austin Belke in row 2. Matthew Thunhorst starts in row 3 alongside J.R. Shepherd, with Joe Sagawa and Adam Shane rounding up the top 8. Giovinazzi starts in 9th, and Ryan Seneker rounds out the top 10, Marty.
Yeah, Kurt Smith starting in the 11th position, Todd Liston rounding out row number 6. If we move to row 7, Bruce Pearson and Brian Den in the 22 and 23 respectively. Row 8, Mike Holloway and Chris Wolfson, and rounding out the field at the caboose, Mike Allen and Lowell Jewell.
That's all top to bottom out your running order tonight here on the Virtual Grip Network for the Bootleg Racing League, and keep in mind, these respective drivers, with this being the Fire Race Moonshine Challenge, pride is on the line as well. J.R. Shepherd has already clinched the point totals as a result of winning 4 of the 6 races in the previous seasons, including this campaign, 5 of 7 when it comes to all North Wilkesboro and Martinsville held races. But with that, the drivers are getting ready for the pace laps to make sure they're ready to go. Your keys to victory tonight, Marty?
I think the first key here, Justin, is keep that bottom side of the racetrack. At the same time, you take a risk, though, of trying to avoid the curbs. So those are pretty much two keys in one sentence there. Higher side, going to be a little bit of tougher to pass. However, though, we have seen drivers try to make the move. And number three, when we get to the final laps of the race, the bump and run. Do you go for it or do you wait? When do you make the move?
It's going to be also very critical when it comes to a lot of these drivers tonight as they now start the final pace lap. It's worth noting, though, that two drivers did not make it to the start off the grid this time. Bruce Pearson, starting from the pit lane, it appears. Mike Allen had a technical issue prior to taking the role behind the iRacing pace car. So 16 drivers will take the initial green flag of the night. Half-mile of mayhem. All set to get going here for BRL action. It's Donnie Moore in control of the pack. Kenny Kibbe on the outside line. Barney the flagman waves the green flag. We're underway from Martinsville. And a great start from the outside from Kenny Kibbe, outpowering Donnie Moore to take away the race lead. Looking to fully clear it, though, as Justin Morton shoving about for third position on back. Kibbe is clear for the race lead.
Yeah, Moore is at that quarter panel in turn number 3, but Kibbe getting the power off of the turn, that little bank gain. And Justin Morton on the attack for Moore for second spot, but Moore slams the door behind them. You've got a scrimmage happening for P4 between the 24 of Belkey and the 98 of Shepard.
Of note, Bruce Pearson has come back onto the racetrack after missing the initial start. He is right in front of the leaders, though. Here's the look at Joe Segala from the heart of the race being packed from 7th position. It's 2 by 2 in front of him. J.R. Shepard gets up to 4th. Austin Belkey is stuck on the top.
Not where Belkey wants to be early. I think early on you just let Thunhorse go. Ahead of them, though, Justin Morton again on the attack of Donnie Moore, looking for a second spot, but J.R. Shepard right behind, who just set the fastest lap of the race early on at a 20.11.
Justin Morton is struggling really hard to pass Donnie Moore. You see with Joe Segala's angle, it takes several laps to set up a rhythm and make sure you get a run for the pass. It's not as simple as, I'm going to shove it on in and make the move. It can take up to 10, 12 laps in some cases to set up a pass here at the Paperclip.
Absolutely. Very tough to pass here, like we've seen in real life before. Ryan Blaney and Kevin Harvick having a battle during the playoffs in 2017. But yes, you definitely have to get in that groove. This is Martinsville, the half-mile of mayhem. You make one mistake, you're going up the track big time, you're losing a lot of time, and you're going to lose a lot of positions, that's for sure.
Here's a look at the battle going on for 10th position, meanwhile. Kurt Smith up 1 spot so far, taking things easy. 87 machine looking to try and build up a run. Todd Liston, the Indy Autosport machine, watching the side-by-side in front as well. Adam Sheen now attacking for 7th.
Good side-by-side battle, and it is Joe Segala looking up on the top shelf on Shine, and that's costing him just a little bit. Altites comes up into the door off of turn number 2, has the run, but we'll just have to see who gets it in turns number 3 and 4. Altites, I think, has it off the corner, Justin.
Yes, indeed, Altites able to now move up to 8th position for now inside the inversion spots. Also very critical when it comes to the series for the starting position. By the way, your race leader is still Kenny Kibbe by half a second over Justin Moore, and J.R. Shepard's up to 3rd. Matthew Thunhorse to 4th. Donnie Moore with one of his better starts to the season so far. Inside the top 5 currently in the 26 car.
Yeah, Donnie.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Donnie Moore, however, though, has lost 4 spots from the drop of the green. Your biggest mover, meanwhile, is J.R. Shepard up to 3rd, and that's what happens with the invert. You're going to see the top 8 in the back gaining a bunch of spots towards the front, and those that started in the front 4 go a little bit towards the back of the field.
See some of the paint schemes now populating themselves around with Joe Segala trying to ride about. in that battle train. A lot of drivers taking some different looks, keep in mind, when it comes to the tonight's action under the lights. You have Todd Liston representing respective platform for his car. You have Brian Dean channeling his inner Ricky Craven. You have Joe Segala trying to channel the eyes that are on his front bumper right now.
And I think when we take a look at the 24 of Austin Belke, you told me this pre-race, he always has some sort of Jeff Gordon throwback scheme of the 24. For those wondering what in the world is this, it is a 2007 throwback from when Chevy Monte Carlo had a throwback anniversary, and that's when all the Chevys had makeshift front bumpers and sides to their machines.
Yeah, right there. It looks very intriguing on the Arc Menards machines on iRacing, let's put it that way.
I think, Justin, I think this was when NASCAR was still running the Gen 4 machine and when that was able to be used.
Very unique look, and a very brighter blue, keep in mind, if you look from above. Austin Belke is trying to find a way around Donnie Moore, keep in mind, because Donnie Moore has lost 1.4, nearly 1.5 seconds to Thunhorst. Keep in mind, Donnie Moore, just 80 points scored on the season entering tonight.
Want to look as well on a battle for third. Just about a lap and a half ago, Thunhorst nearly sent it in on J.R. Shepard. Shepard just got loose a half a lap ago in turn number 4, but somehow Shepard is holding off Thunhorst, and we talked about it in our pre-race show, Justin. This is a big battle on who could outscore who when we come into the final 2 races.
And keep in mind, this is very critical because for J.R. Shepard, it makes it a little easier if he holds on and outscores the 8 car. A few years ago, there were drops factored in, but it hasn't been drops for several campaigns, keep in mind. And that changed the complexion of some of the championship fights and made it so all important to keep up the attendance. Remember, Thunhorst could have won the championship last season before he missed the final couple races. So a lot can come into play when it comes to these two, with them being the only 2-time winners this season. Lap traffic, meanwhile, just fed Justin Morton a lot of time. Kenny Kibbe nearly ran over the back end of Bruce Pearson through 3 and 4. The half a second gap is gone.
Down to about a car length and a half. We'll have to check and see the lap times at the start-finish line. Everyone's still holding their ground on that bottom groove right next to the curb as they come off of turn 4. Let's check the laps here at the stripe. Kibbe running a 20:35, Moore in a 20:37.
Running a little bit slower now that they settle back on in, but still, that is a huge chance for some of the drivers to gain back that lost time as a result of that traffic. Here's the look at Kibbe. Again, green flag running so far, now 20 laps in, starting lap 21. This is around the trend where we've seen some of the races go when it comes to the paperclip in this series, in this competition. Traffic could be big, though, if they keep up this pace. The difference from the front of the field to the back of the field is upwards of 4/10 per lap.
Yeah, last car currently on the lead lap is Lowell Jewell in that 52 AC Delco machine. He's currently in turn 4 while the leaders are in turn 2. So if I were to guess here, JP, it'd probably be about 15 to 20 laps or so until they would hit the lap traffic if we stay green on this long run.
You see Chris Wolfson, meanwhile, high school principal, trying to battle things about. This is for 13th position. And Wolfson has showed flashes of speed throughout the campaign, keep in mind, in that number 17 machine in the past couple seasons, in fact. As he is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wolfson's picked up 2 spots from the drop of the green, start in 16th. Now he's up to 14, trying to close down on Ryan Seneca, just about 0.3 of a second in front of him as we come across the line this time, even at a 20:58. But Wolfson just being patient early on. That's, again, the big key, patience coming in. Whoever has the most patience, Justin, has a good chance at victory lane.
And keep in mind that patience also goes to how hard you push the car, right? Because there is no tire changes, meaning you have a big slide or you go too hard in the first 20 laps, 25, 30 laps, you're going to be feeling the pain of pushing too hard by about lap 40 when it comes to this tire model at the paperclip.
Yeah, when the drivers are braking, and I did some testing on iRacing in these past few days on trying to feel what the drivers would feel. It's about maybe at least 50% brake the drivers are using entering the corner, and then still in the brake until they get into the center when they can put it back on the gas. Luckily, when you come off the corners here at Martinsville, the cars won't really spin a lot compared to maybe if you go to like an intermediate track like Charlotte or Atlanta, which has a more abrasive track surface. And if you make a lockup here, if you put too much brake in, if you send it in too much, you're losing a lot of tire wear, and you're going to continue to lose that time.
The fall off so far for reference has been about 3/4 tenths amongst the leaders. And this is all while Matthew Thunhorst and J.R. Shepard, they've been having a brawl. Matthew Thunhorst has been changing up his line on the entry, particularly turn 3, a little bit higher, trying to give a bit more arc. But that's the difficult part when you're so even like these two. It's about trying to pressurize a mistake.
Thunhorst as well just outbroke Shepard going in the corner, so he may be trying that as well, but at the same time, again, when you're trying to outbrake someone using up just a little bit more tires, and yeah, just about a half a groove higher compared to the 98. Thunhorst being patient. Again, it's a long race. We've got just about 70 laps to go here at the Paperclip, and doesn't want to be really aggressive on Shepard early on. They've had incredible battles all season, so I think Thunhorst is going to try and pressure Shepard into a mistake, and there you go again. Half a groove higher compared to Shepard.
Just can't get the run he's looking for on corner exit, 70 laps to go, and keep in mind, it comes to BRL competition as well. For those watching for the first time, these drivers compete in multiple different types of cars throughout each of the nights. It so happens the truck race that took place about half an hour to an hour beforehand, Shepard won. A bit of a tap just sent Shepard on forward. Forced Thunhorst to check up, all while Donnie Moore continues to fall down the pylon. Adam Shane and company have now caught him.
Yeah, it's a good drag race into turn number 1, and Ruben Altai is going to get into this battle as well. And then the key here, when you're side by side, battling out for position, you're still losing some time. The driver behind you going to pick up the pace just a little bit more and get more of that momentum, even get just a little bit of a draft on the car behind that is side by side, and still going at it. Shine doing a good job in that 6th position. Moore still not giving up.
Confirmation Mike Allen will not be able to come back into the race after his issue early. Computer issues is the official reasoning, as Donnie Moore now officially drops down to 7th, although Shane is still stuck with the 26 up high. Donnie Moore squeezing a lot. Ruben Altis looking for a chance to move up here as well, with Todd Liston and Brian Dean also trying to tackle each other into the corner. Dean dives his way to the inside to take advantage of this for 9th.
Yeah, that got close down the back straightaway as, oh man, hang on to that machine. Todd just, the car next to him, Brian Dean, just got that baby sideways off of turn number 2. That still makes the pass stick on the 87. And now Ruben Altis trying to make a pass in front of them. You know, the 26 of Moore almost had a situation like 2 laps ago, Justin, where he had a chance of possibly clearing down the back straightaway and slamming the door going into turn number 3. Liston, by the way, just got loose off turn 4 and lost a ton of time to the 23 machine.
Brian Dean now looking for his opportunity to try and make a move inside the inversion spots. Altis grabbing Billy the Exterminator car. Here's the look from the Ricky Craven machine. Driving that very famous Pontiac Tide machine. Up to the outside line. Moore with the better pull. It looks like that Brian Dean thinks that's the better groove to try and make the move on the 11 now with some of the struggles off the corner. Altis nearly squeezes up in the wall. Dean scrapes the wall. Dean's over the corner. He nearly spun it out into turn 1.
Dean is just trying to survive at the moment. Both of them trying to survive. I think Dean's car is a lot better on that 2nd groove, and he's trying to once again. Oh, he got a little bit tight in the center of 3 and 4. Cost him some time to the 11. But Dean still up on that quarter panel, not giving up at all. And that may cost him as well another spot. Liston on the downward spot of the track, trying to take away P9. Nothing. They're even blocking each other into turn 3, Justin.
That's a little bit of a dangerous game to play here at Martinsville, especially the hard braking. Altis avoids contact, though. Now back single file along with Todd Liston. Joe Sagawa, Kurt Smith also watching the wings if things continue to spark up amongst these cars. Altice a poor corner exit. Dean not able to take advantage, as it looks like some of the drivers are starting to bottom out a little bit on that front splitter. Keep in mind, with the fixed setups these drivers run, if you don't get the right brake bias, you can have the risk of it slamming the nose down if you put too much brake bias in.
Yeah, if we look closely off of turn 4, you can see how much the splitter's changed. And oh man, Dean almost gave a bumper to Altice off the corner. But if you see here, as they make their way into turn 1, once they hit the brakes, the left front starts to drag on down as they lose that speed just a little bit more. That's the bottoming out situation Justin was just talking about. Makes your car a little bit shaky throughout the center of the corners and could lead your car going into spinning. And these drivers, again, have been starting to use up the tires just a little bit more. So we'll see who can survive with the car on the worn tires.
Could say that's a valence when it comes to these machines, by the way, compared to the splitter edge. Brian Dean again to the outside wall into the safer barrier. First to pull that car off. And keep in mind, when it comes to these walls, they can work like magnets when it comes to these machines through an iRacing. Ryan Seneca, meanwhile, will be on the 13th. Wolfson and Hallway also lined up. A shocking performance for Hallway. He's normally inside the top 10 at a track like this.
Yeah, it's surprising for Holloway. Just hasn't been the performance he's had, just hasn't had the speed. You know, started from the same position, 15th, trying to fight on Wolfson for that 14th place spot, but is just found nothing at the moment. Want to update you, by the way, we are about to have a three-way brew developed for second spot. Justin Morton has lost some time to J.R. Shepard and Matthew Dunhorst. Dunhorst again took a peek inside. He just scraped the wall off of turn 2, actually, and that may just cost him maybe about 0.05 of a second or so, but still right on that spoiler of Shepard.
Here's a look at that, approaching that halfway mark now of this race. It's been green from start to finish so far here at the Paperclip. The bobble once more for J.R. Shepard still. No one able to take advantage quite yet. Keep in mind, these four, they've been the class of the field tonight. Fifth place is 4 seconds back already.
Man, I think they're even as well missing a good battle behind them for 5th position. We had Belky and Shine earlier on, and they've really gone away from each other. The delta, 2.3 seconds. And then that Moore Altice Dean battle starts continuing, and it's Moore off the pace in 2. He's off the pace and down the back straightaway, Justin. He's coming in.
Donnie Moore might be parking it, and we've seen Donnie Moore have this situation a few times. I don't get this one, though. This was Donnie Moore's best race of the season, and he's just elected to park it.
Yeah, I'm completely baffled by that move as well, Justin. I mean, I'm not too sure if there's either a time situation he's got to deal with or an emergency, but Donnie Moore is putting that into the first pit stall, and that baby is done for the night.
He's out of the car, yes. So Donnie Moore, remember, this was amongst the hard fight a little while ago when he was with Ruben Altice. This is how aggressive things were getting, and Donnie Moore after this was holding his own. Altice and company just couldn't get a run after this.
Yeah. And again, this is really surprising. He's out of the car, not even electing to add fuel or repair damage, and that's just, again, a tough break. And let's go back to the battle he was a part of with the Todd Liston and Ruben Altice battle happening for 8th spot on the track.
Now up to 7th, in fact. Brian Dean holding on to that position. You also have Altice, Liston, Sagawa, Kurt Smith, all within that 1 second margin of each other here. Liston doing a pretty solid job. He's struggled at times long run throughout the past couple seasons. March 2021 with this car. Tonight, though, no major slides. He's been nice and comfortable to the point where he's got to run to the inside. No, Altice slams the door.
Liston up 3 spots from the start of the race, starting in the 12th position, has made his way up to 9th. And something I'm noticing as well, Justin, these drivers are starting to put the gas back on. Normally it's in the center to the exit of the corner. Oh man, Liston, hang on to that. Oh boy, what a save. That got close for the 87. And this is what I'm talking about too. These drivers are like staying on their throttle sections of this track where the tires are getting worn out. And we got one in the wall, actually. One is in the wall. That's the 6 of Kurt Smith.
Kurt Smith had been having a decent run, but he is still keeping on going in 11th. The 6 car went way high up in turns 1 and 2, and I can't tell if he missed the braking zone or just carried too much speed in general to where he carried up to the wall.
I'd probably say it's a little bit of both. When you go late on your brake box, excuse me, that's when the brakes are locking up, especially when we have this long 55-lap green flag run at the moment. That car is going to get way tight, and that's what it's doing for Kurt Smith at the moment. Got up into the Maros, got the wall. Thank goodness that he didn't spin anyone out either.
Kurt Smith is now back to 14th. Ruben Altis has just had an issue with his internet, meanwhile. That could be a massive tech issue. That could be costly for the inversion spots. By the way, race leaders are staying compressed at 1.1
Yellow.
seconds. Caution is out. I think that was Ruben Altis. You know what? Ruben Altis may have just popped back on the racetrack and didn't know where he was and brought the caution out.
Wow.
No one could see where he was going, and I don't think he's knowing this until about now, because no one's seen him. Someone could have, say, drove through him without him actually being visible on the racetrack.
Like a netcode spin, possibly. I'm not too sure. I think someone probably reported it in their Discord race server that he was around, and the yellow flies, and now we rack him and stack him, getting ready for our first restart of the day. And this is another big situation. Not really what you want if you're Kenny Kibbe. Morton, Shepard, Thunhorst get to be up closer. Austin Belke, Adam Shine may have to deal with a battle against each other. We'll just have to see what happens.
Not expecting pit stops, obviously, when it comes to this series. They'll stay back on the racetrack, as there is a lucky dog, which will go the way of Bruce Pearson, the only driver 1 lap down. Our competitors, Altis, Moore, and Allen, either did not start or are now out of the race. But this is a big opportunity in turn you have to consider for Shepard and Thunhorst to scrap here. Specifically Thunhorst, if that top line gets rolling the way he needs it to.
And normally we have seen on restarts, when we've looked at back the past few years of NASCAR racing, if you're the first guy on the outside, that could help you out. But at the same time, anytime you're on the outside, it could be tough. But like you said, these past 10 or 20 laps, we have seen that situation where drivers are testing the second water of Martinsville Speedway and working it just a little bit, but not too much. I think now that the track is grooved in, possibly we see it happening. We'll have to see.
A few more pace laps expected here. 40 laps to go now this time by. Your biggest mover at the moment is Brian Dean. And remember, prior to the past few weeks or so, when it came to Dean, he usually ran a lot of Bill Davis racing machines, specifically the old Warburton cars. Whenever it came to the reason of saying, let's be Ricky Craven this time, just seems to be working perfectly for him.
I think, Justin, I think he was expected to be in a photo finish with another driver, because I'm curious if that Pontiac's got the kick on the front end, if that Pontiac's disguised as a Chevy.
Well, that's the beauty of iRacing, right? When it comes to these cars, you can make it anything. You can make it a Tesla if you want.
Absolutely. And we've seen that, too, on Trading Paints before as well.
Robbers will now double up this time by to reset your top runners. It's Kibbe and Morton, row 1, Shepard and Thunhorst, row 2, Belke and Shane, row 3, Dean and Liston round out the inversion spots, row 4. First drivers out of those spots are Segawa and Seneca, Hallway Wolfson, Jules Smith, and then Bruce Pearson is on his own at the back in 15th. And Kenny Kibbe continue to be the Pied Piper. He's led them all at Martinsville so far. Waiting a long time for the start. Off and away. Green flags back out. Big tire spin for Justin Morton on the high side. Shepard tries to squeeze him up the track. Can Shepard move up to second now with this?
Looking for the 2-for-1 at his local grocery store. Still in that drag race entering turn number 3. He's still in front of Thunhorst, and Shepard, I think, has got the advantage. He nearly bumped Kenny Kibbe on the restart as Kibbe went late on the power. That's something you got to be careful as well. Oh! Morton's up in the wall. Oh my goodness.
Justin Morton ends up going up the track. He hit the wall on entry, Marty.
He overdrove turns 1 and 2, which is something really easy to do at Martinsville Speedway, and that just cost him 5 positions, JP, all the way back to 7th, now 8th with Liston getting by.
So while the boss man, Lowell Jewell, is trying to channel his inner Ron Hornaday tonight, who is now up +6 to the 12th position, one of his better runs the past few weeks for the boss man. So he's now charging as well with 35 laps to go. Kibby, Shepard, Thunhorse now the top 3.
J.R. Shepard, I gotta be I'm a little bit nervous for him if I were him. Reason why is his car just got a little bit loose off of turn 4, and Thunhorse was ready to pounce, but Thunhorse did not take advantage of it. Gap still about half a car length off the corner, and this is still a close battle again. Shepard outpoints Thunhorse after tonight. He could be good for the final 2 races at the Las Vegas Bull Ring and New Smyrna. If Thunhorse outpoints, we have got a good show. It's kind of like Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen without all the fighting going on between each other.
Usually you don't see contact when it comes to these drivers in this series, unless it's between these two in a side-by-side finish, whether it's at South Boston or another tight confound racetrack. Have to see how these two try and find out the equation and solve it. It comes to trying to find a way to pass Kenny Kibby. Kibby still the fastest driver inside the top 5 in terms of consistency. He got the best 5-lap average that time at 20.446. Thunhorse to the wall.
And not really what he wants just yet. Almost magneted him up in that outside wall. Remember, with this ARCA damage model in iRacing, if you scrape the wall and make a little bit of contact, it could be enough to ruin your night possibly. Although at the same time, it is Martinsville, not really an aerodynamic focused track. It's really all about your steering, the suspension, and stuff like that. This is still continuing to be a brawl between these two.
Well, taking a look back to Mike Holloway, remember how he was stuck in 15th before the caution? He's now up to 11th. He's taken advantage of that and then some in the 2.
Looking on Chris Wolfson for that 10th position. If we compare their last few laps, Wolfson was just about 300ths faster than Holloway. And Wolfson stuck dealing with Zagala as well. 3 cars under a blanket in that battle for 9th position. And Holloway is there. And looking, he closed it in by just nearly a 10th of a second.
Still not able to build up a run to make a pass. This is all while Justin Morton up the road, you see the touch of. Still trying to crack the equation of in the pass on Todd Liston as well. Everybody's having to solve equations when it comes to these positions, and that's just the difficulty at Martinsville, to make the clean pass without using the bumpers.
Liston got the wall there down the back straightaway. Morton took a peek down in the inside of turns 3 and 4. Liston about a groove and a half up, really tight after hitting the wall. Morton still does not take advantage of it. I'm not sure if he's being too patient at the moment. He knows he's a faster car than Liston in the battle for 7th position. So, I'm not sure, Justin.
It seems a lot of these drivers equalizing out, but as we've seen, defending has been something that, if you don't make major mistakes, is doable. If you start cascading those mistakes, get ready for someone to dive underneath. The battle for 2nd, for reference sake, Matthew Thunhorst has been riding the back bumper of J.R. Shepard for 3 straight laps. He is not backing down. It's to the point where he's getting as close as he can without hitting him.
We're in the final quarter of this race as well, and let's go back to my keys of the race. When do you possibly use the bumper in the final laps? Well, we knew what lap it was when Alex Bowman moved Denny Hamlin, which was like 5 laps to go. I think with the way these drivers respect each other, I don't know if we'll see it. He's still right there, but doesn't make the run. And you got to give credit as well to J.R. Shepard. He's not even looking at his rear view mirror behind him. He is focused on the road ahead, and he is hitting his marks well.
Riding all the back end, still a bit of a bobble. Thunhorst is really pushing hard, it looks like. He's been hard on the brakes. We've seen every corner. Harder than Shepard on entry. Riding the back bumper to the point where he's riding against that right rear tire on exit. Now he's trying to drift up a little bit to get the better arc on the banking. Can this time it work out? No, again, Shepard parks the bus.
Shepard's still trying that higher groove. They're both on the same half a groove up on the entry. Same entry, same exit. They are just learning on each other and where they are going. Dunhorse outbreaks Shepard into turns 3 and 4, right on the spoiler. Shepard just a tiny bit loose off of 4, but gains some power at the stripe.
It was talked about earlier this year. One of the ways J.R. Shepard approached the track, the main way specifically, is he will force others to pass by him. And this is the perfect example of that, where Matthew Dunhorst has not been able to find a way to make the pass and force Shepard off his preferred groove. Dunhorst in his approach usually is run away and force everyone to catch him. Two different contrasts once again appearing here with under 20 to go.
Something I'm thinking here, JP, Kenny Kibbe, while he's led all the laps so far, Dunhorst, I think, has the faster car. The reason why is Dunhorst does have a faster lap than Kenny Kibbe at a 20.06, but when you compare the last lap, even with Dunhorst all over Shepard, Dunhorst has a 20.65 to a Kibbe 20.69. So if Dunhorst can make away by J.R. Shepard, maybe with like possibly 10 laps to go, he's going right after Kibbe for that win, and he will be there.
Looking meanwhile with the air battles going on, 5th position, Austin Belke doing the same tactics and strategy. It comes to Brian Dean, pressurizing him. Dean up +8. Their biggest mover overall. A very solid night for Brian Dean this evening.
Had a great race, has dealt with many battles, and this is the closest he's been. I think this is the highest position he's been in the race so far, too. And he's looking to break in the top 5 for the first time today. If he can get up to Belke and pull alongside him side by side, we'll just have to wait.
They also have Adam Shane in the line as well. They are about 8 tenths back of that battle for 2nd position.
Morton, by the way, Morton got up to the outside of Todd Liston, by the way, Justin. Sorry to interrupt you. He crosses over off of 2 as Liston gets the wall. Remember, Morton has not been him ever since he was in 2nd and overdrove turns 1 and 2, which cost him 5 spots. He makes his way back up to P7 at the stripe, but Liston's still there.
That's right behind this pack. Justin Morton is nearly clear for 7th. Liston is starting to fall off with under 15 laps to go, coming up to 14 this time by after the contact down the backstretch. Liston is now holding on to the final inversion spot, but Joe Segallo right on behind. 14 to go.
If Morton wants a chance at winning the race, and we just had Liston blink for just a moment. He's back on the screen. Morton is in a must-need a caution situation if he wants a chance to get back in this race. We know he's had a fast car the entire day with this setup, but it just has not been him again after he went way wide in turn 1.
Liston now back into a rhythm again. Has built up about a 4/10 of a second cushion. With 12 laps to go this time. Dunhorst, seen a bit up the road, nearly has hit Shepard again.
Yeah, that was the...
Go ahead.
That was the closest he's been to the bumper of J.R. Shepard in this second run. I think for Dunhorst, we're going to see it in a couple laps. I think he's going to put the bumper on J.R. Shepard, and I would not be surprised if it's here. What an outbreak for Dunhorst. Late on there, I'm surprised he didn't lock them up.
I'm not sure how J.R. Shepard would react to the bumpers, though, when it comes to this type of series. Usually, as mentioned, you don't see the bump and run. When it has been used, it has led to fireworks in result. 10 laps to go, though. Kenny Kibbe running off in the sunset, all under the lights as they pass by the flag stand. As Dunhorst again takes the wall. He's hit the wall several times this entire race. Another loose moment, though, for the 8th.
Yeah, you can see with Dunhorst, he's got a little bit of a paint scuff on the right door, but he is lucky that Shepard's been keeping it loose. That way they are each holding their ground. 9 to go at the line, and Kibbe's led all 91 today.
Right behind him, a note, Austin Belke and Adam Shane are also side by side. Shane trying to take the outside group.
Oh man, Shane got really loose. A bumper to Belke. That got close. And hello, Brian Dean.
There's a look now at the onboard and looking at that squabble. Dean forced to back out. That helped Belke get some breathing room. Is that going to be enough? Contact in front of them. J.R. Shepard's been bumped. Matthew Thornhorst fed the bumper to the 98 car. A major save for Shepard. Thornhorst is backed up, and here comes the rest of the gang.
That cost him way too much time. Thunhorse needs a yellow at the moment. Can Belke take advantage and go for a podium tonight? We'll just have to see.
Coming up to the point of no return, a couple laps from now, 6 to go in this race. There goes Dean in the battle right behind. That's for fifth. Dean just flipped the curbing.
He nearly doored him there. Yeah, you just mentioned he clipped the curbing, nearly went wide, nearly doored him. He backs out of it. He wants a second chance at it with 6 to go.
Coming up to 5 to go as you still keep an eye on Matthew Thunhorst. A big bobble coming off the corner. Another hit to the wall. And he get back to the 98 in time to try and fight one more time. 5 laps to go. Next time around is the point of no return.
24 and the 8. Belke and Thunhorst did hit the wall off turn 2 last lap. Checking to see off the corner. Thunhorst a little bit loose. Belke does not scrape the outside safety barrier, but Thunhorst is closing in. Was 300ths of a second faster last time by. We'll see what happens with 4 laps left.
Would be enough though. Thunhorst another hard send into the corner. Austin Belke has ran away from Shane and company. It's now a 3-car battle for second position. 3.5 laps to go. Thunhorst now back within a car length.
Looking back at the 8th spot, the battle for what could be the pole next week. Joe Segala, Todd Liston going at it for 8th spot.
The next grouping, here's a look at Liston, who is all over the track. He is very loose with that right rear tire. He's looped it in the past here, remember, off the corner. All while Shane sends it into the wall. Shane loses a spot. He drops to 6th. 2 to go.
And Morton is all over him. Brian Dean in front. That's a good battle. And Shepard trying to see what he can get on Kibbe. Thunhorst still fighting over. He's not out of it for P2 yet. Justin taking home the rest of the way.
Coming up to the white flag, this time by for the race to be official. Thunhorst looking to try and take away second from Shepard. Kenny Kibbe looking to lead wire to wire. A dominant run for the Nocturnal Gaming Machine tonight. But J.R. Shepard continues to have to play defense for the second step of the podium. Thunhorst again to the wall. There goes his chance. Thunhorst still tries it. Thunhorst towards the bumper. He gasses it up. Both get loose. Kenny Kibbe will celebrate. He's the 3rd multi-time winner of the season. Shepard in 2nd, Thunhorst in 3rd.
2 big situations after that. Kibbe, you just mentioned, 2nd win of the season, got his 1st at South Boston. And Shepard with the output on Thunhorst. That is huge with 2 races to go.
An incredible battle, an incredible race, to say the very least, on how things played out for tonight's action. But it's Kenny Kibbe who comes away with a victory this evening. And he led them all tonight. All the laps, his direction this evening. What was a dominating performance, to say the very least. He'll get to burn it on down. Kenny Kibbe wins by just under 0.3 of a second, the differential between him and J.R. Shepard tonight. Matthew Thunhorst rounding up the top 3, Marty. Championship contenders all about in the front.
Absolutely. Shepard with the outpoint again on Thunhorst. Big with the final 2 races to go. Kibbe leads all 100. In the battle for 8th, Liston did outrun Segala there in the final laps. Came down to just about a 1/4 of a second. So Liston will be part of the inverse next week.
Here's a look at the results once more here for round number 9. As I mentioned, Kibbe over Shepard by 0.287 seconds. Matthew Thunhorst rounded out the top 3 tonight with Austin Belke in 4th. Brian Dean, your biggest mover of the night, charged his way to 5th position with Adam Shane in 6th. The inversion spots rounded out by Justin Morton and Todd Liston. Joe Segala finished in 9th. Chris Wolfson, a solid run, goes from 16th to 10, Marty.
And 11th, Lowell Jewell with the Ron Hornaday throwback. Mike Holliday in 12th. Ryan Seneker 13th. Bruce Pearson 14th, the final car on the lead lap. Kurt Smith 5 laps down in 15th position. Ruben Altis in 16th. Donnie Moore finishing in 17th after ending his night early. And Mike Allen did not start the race. He is credited with an 18th place finish.
Take a quick break. Top 3 standing by in just a few moments. You're watching VGN for coverage of the Bootleg Racing League, presented by Gargamel's Kitchen for Grand National Series competition. Me too.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Virtual Grip Network's coverage of the Bootleg Racing League and its Grand National Series, presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. Justin Prince lined up alongside Marty Sikawa. Tonight's coverage with Daniel Handover in the producer's seat. Tonight, Kenny Kibbe dominated with an outside pass to start things off, then didn't look back from there. Kenny Kibbe leads all 100 laps to win the second race for him this season. Kenny, first things first, back in victory lane, and you do it at the paperclip. How does it feel to be the third driver of the multi-win club this season?
Yeah, it's great. We've had a few rough weeks last couple, a few races that kind of got away from us, and yeah, it's a great shot in the arm to be back in victory lane and at a tough track. Cool to win here though. This is where I got my first Grand National win, so that's pretty neat. But and to hold off all those really fast guys behind us, that's it's pretty special whenever you can win in this league with the group of drivers we have.
You talk about when it comes to this track, history you have here, and when it comes to the speed, what tonight made this race more unique than the other ones in terms of having to battle about here at the paperclip and trying to then make sure you held on to the race lead? You controlled the tempo, keep in mind, during the green flag runs by upwards about 4 or 5 tenths on average.
Yeah, I think this race was unique in just that the competition level this season in particular is the highest that it's probably ever been. Really, anybody in the top 5 week in and week out is winning capable easily. So, that really added to the challenge of it. And, I kind of had an advantage of having good track position. I knew the outside line was going to be at least decent at the start. So I had that advantage where I could control the pace, but I knew those guys would be on their horse to get after me, and they were. If I missed my marks even by just a little bit, they'd gain on me. So we just had to stay disciplined and get that one restart out of the way and keep doing clean lap times.
Next race goes to the Bull Ring at Las Vegas, the second to last race of the season, and that one's going to have the intriguing part of it's a build week. It is week 13, right before the 2022 iRacing calendar year. Your opinion on how that race could play out, knowing there could be a lot on the horizon or there could be not a lot when it comes to the Arkham and Arts machine, when it comes to that build coming up.
Yeah, the real kicker to that one is I'm a good chance I won't be at that race. I noticed I'm relatively far out of the championship hunt, but I got some other plans I might be doing that Saturday, so I might be out of the field. But if I am, I think we have these setups for these Grand National cars that are made for us week in and week out. They're not like default setups, so I think as long as the build isn't too drastic, I don't expect it to really be terribly different than what we'd normally expect. I think the challenge each week has been to kind of get used to the setup that's been made for us, and sometimes it works out for me and other times it doesn't. So I think it'd be kind of more of the same.
Who do you want to thank for the run tonight?
Just everybody at the Bootleg Racing League, everybody that comes together every week. We had a lot of really good racing tonight. Gargamel's Kitchen for sponsoring our series. You guys at Virtual Grip Network for all the cool broadcasts. And special thanks to everybody who rode on board with me tonight and hung out, made it even more fun.
Congratulations once again on the victory tonight.
Thank you.
Kenny Kibbe, your winner in the Nocturnal Gaming Machine. Second victory of the season. Very sentimental one when it comes to his history. Paperclip in this series. The next driver on the docket to speak with finished in second and held on to that spot much of the way. Our defense from behind, J.R. Shepard, is standing by with Marty.
JR, you and Matthew, first off, you guys had a fun race at the end. I'm curious, after the race, I saw you guys in that trackside bar and grill room. Just what was the conversation about after those final laps?
Yeah, just I apologize because there were times when I got on the brakes and went into the corner, I would hear last minute car inside, and it's hard to change your lane and give the guy room when it's a late move like that. So I apologize for my end on that, and I guess I'm being told I was blocking, so I really don't know what I need to do. I guess if somebody's on my rear bumper before the corner, I need to move over on entry and let them go. I don't know what else to do.
I'm very interested that he said that you were blocking him, because considering the fact that this is Martinsville, what we saw from our perspective, and of course it's obviously different than from your guys' first person point of view in the cockpit, it looks like you guys were just following each other's racing grooves exactly just fine. Was it like, was he saying like he was considering you blocking him in that situation when he put the bumper on you?
I don't know about the bumper contact. I don't know if that was intentional or just accident. I really don't know. But yeah, he just thought I was changing my lane, and I mean, if I was, then I need to do something different. That's why I apologize. But I'm racing my lane going into the corner, and if I don't hear a car low before I get on the brakes, I'm going to turn in at whatever line I want to turn in at. And I don't know, man. I'll just have to reevaluate it. Obviously, I need to do something different if I'm upsetting someone.
Well, here's a big positive. You outscored him. 2 races left to go. I know it's not over yet, but how comfortable are you feeling, especially next week, going to the Bull Ring at Las Vegas?
Normally, I would be pretty comfortable at the Bull Ring. It's a track that I like, but yeah, with what went on tonight, I'm not sure what I need to do or how to race, so I'll think about it this week and try to figure it out. That's all I can do.
Tell me about your sponsors. Who else would you like to give shout-outs to tonight?
Yeah, just really thankful to be able to race in the Bootleg Racing League for as long as I have. Thanks to my team, Different Path Motorsports, and I want to thank my wife this week. We finally had our first child born this week, and was supposed to be a really, really great week, and it has been up until tonight. So just thank you to her for letting me do this. She knows that I enjoy racing on iRacing, and without her, I can't do this. It's just not fair. So thank you to her.
Well, congratulations on the new kid. I think you are being called back to baby watch, so we will let you go, JR. Nice run tonight.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
J.R. Shepard with a second place finish and extends his points lead once again on Matthew Thunhurst. Time to talk with our third place finisher. Hear the other side of the story. Thunhurst, Justin, it's all you.
Thank you very much, Marty. And first things first, hard-fought battle when it came to second. We heard the perspective of a discussion you guys were having when in regards to your fight for second. What's your take on it to add your side to the story?
Well, Justin, I mean, I know me and JR didn't get a chance to fully talk it over before interviews happened, and so, but, it's just, I know from my seat, it's like I was kind of telling him, he says get the runoff. It's, well, JR, it's when he's one of the best guys at getting the runoff, and it's when I'm better, middle and entry. It's, and I felt like a couple of times it was, where I almost got there, where it's maybe the spotter don't call it, but as soon as you go in the brake zone, especially when I'm better on braking, that I'll get the spot. And it's, I don't know. Like I said, I'll need to go back and look at the tapes and stuff. There's, you know, a good bit of emotion and stuff, but it was hard racing, you know, and there when I was getting him in the rear bumper in the center of the corner, and I know the one time I really knocked him sideways, and, you know, that's on me. It's just trying to get everything I could, and, you know, it's hard to take that run through the center and make it also be good off when the other guys are set up to really just blast off on exit. And, you know, it's hard racing, you know, it's a little bit of frustrating, you know, and I kind of get the position on him in invert, and, you know, through one way or another, he always kind of gets around me this season. That's been frustrating. So, you know, felt like I could have gone up there and fought for this win, and it's just kind of got stuck behind JR when he's as good as defense and as good off as he is. It's a nightmare to get around him. And, you know, it's not saying anything bad about him. It's, you know, complimenting him. You know, he's a good driver, and that's what makes it such a nightmare to get him.
So at this point, what do you feel you could have done differently to try and make sure you stayed in front of JR with the invert, but also in regards to that, had the better chance to try and get a run off the corner? Because in terms of the lines, at least from our perspective, it seemed you guys were near identical, outside of you taking a half a lane higher through turn 3 much of the runs.
Well, I mean, that's how I get the runoff, is I just, you know, treat it like a decreasing radius corner, and that would kind of allow me to get the runoff as well. And, you know, there were a couple of times I felt like he was doing that to where he'd see me make the move inside, and so he'd cut it off. And so there were a couple of times I tried to get him to do it to where he'd protect that inside and try to ruin his line. It didn't work. You know, he still had a good run. I couldn't do anything with him, and I tried different things, and, you know, I couldn't do anything with him. And the couple of times I felt like I had a shot, it almost ended up with him getting wrecked. So, you know, you don't want to race that way, but it's definitely when lap after lap, you know, you're faster than the guy you want to get him. It can make you see red a little bit. So
let's talk about something positive. There is 2 more races left to go in the season. The Bull Ring at Las Vegas is the next race. That is, keep in mind, during week 13 and the end of the 2021 iRacing calendar year. Your thoughts on that track, and knowing that it could be intriguing what could happen in the build, which could impact the December 11th race?
Honestly, I haven't been keeping up with what iRacing's been doing a whole lot. You know, I've just been racing this every weekend, and that's about all I get a chance to do. And, you know, never done the bull ring either, so I don't even know if I own the track, to be honest. But, you know, I've seen it kind of be shown and broadcast in real life on TV, so it's definitely an interesting track. It's from what I remember of it, you know, it's going to be tight quarters. Definitely, like they say, they call it a bull ring for a reason. So definitely going to be probably a bottom line dominant track. But you know, outside of that, my analysis is kind of sad tonight. I'm just rather unknowledgeable about all the goings on right now.
Anything you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you want to thank? Anything positive going on in your life today?
Well, I mean, just, you know, give a shout out to BRL and the league. I mean, you know, it's always fun doing this, and, you know, you all as well as, you know, VGN for broadcasting this, and, you know, getting to hang out with Justin and Austin tonight. And, you know, I mean, you know, I'll give a shout out to JR. I mean, I know we're frustrated with each other right now, and, you know, congrats on Kenny getting the win, but also congrats to JR. You know, I mean, he held me off. He ended up taking second. So as much as we probably want to strangle each other right now, I'll give a shout out to him as well for a good run. So he made it an absolute nightmare for me to get past him. So, you know, not a lot of guys I can say that about, but he's one of them. So it's why he's been able to beat me week in and week out. And
let's get back to that discussion then, because it looks like a bunch of people may be waiting for you. Congratulations on the podium.
Thanks, Justin.
Matthew Thunhorst rounds out the top 3 tonight. I'd like to thank him, J.R. Shepard, and Kenny Kibbe for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage. Now, turn backing over to you, Marty, in terms of tonight. Your opinions on how this fared out tonight, because Kenny Kibbe dominated, but the fireworks show went off for second on back.
I think that's not surprising, Justin. That's typical Martinsville for you. There's always going to be a winner that will be celebrating with confetti, drinking some beer after the race, and then there's always going to be the agony of defeat between 2 drivers, and usually at Martinsville, at the half mile of mayhem, when that goes down, usually some tempers will flare. So I don't think it's surprising to see, considering the way how Thunhorst thought that Shepard was blocking him. because that's usually normal. When you get blocked, you definitely get frustrated. But again, that's typical Martinsville. And we look forward to seeing how that continues to go on with next week at the Bull Ring at Las Vegas. They will be settled down, that's for sure. The two definitely respect each other on and off the track. So I look forward to seeing how the top two battle for the championship continues.
With that, it's time to get ready to wrap things up. We'd like to first take the time to give a shout out to the title sponsor for the Grand National Series for the Bootleg Racing League, Hell's Kitchen, a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, and a proud sponsor of the Bootleg Racing League. Their office at 2045 South Valentia Street, or give them a call at 720-707-6178. The next time these drivers will hit the racetrack, as mentioned, is the Bull Ring at Las Vegas. That'll take place December the 11th. Cover starts 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to tune in, see the action from the desert. The next time VGN will be live is December the 6th at 9:05 p.m. because it's Autobahn Sports Car Challenge time at Road Atlanta. Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta to be precise. Again, cover starts 9:05 p.m. Eastern. But with that, it's time to say goodbye for tonight's producer, Daniel Handover, for my co-announcer, and Marty Nakawa. I'm Justin Prince saying so long, enjoy the rest of your evening. This has been a production of the Virtual Rep Network.